Welcome out this evening, folks. I am Gary Wimmer from the Network Austin Mixer. Glad to have you here. It is October 11th, Wednesday, 2023. It finally got here, and we're going through a lot of craziness in the world. So we're happy for actors and writers and creative people to make sense of the world and to make us happy. And I'd like to introduce to you folks, you probably know, casting director Michael DRUCK, who will take it from here and introduce Emmy, our best guest speaker, and go to town, brother.
Okay, here we go. Well, first of all, I know there's a lot of heavy hearts this week, whether you know what's going on, what you're not going on. So I just wanted to address that first and just say, where our hearts are with all of our brothers and sisters, not only in our other countries, but those are feeling the pain here and trying to just make sense out of it. So just sending love to everyone, and don't want to get political in here, but we just want to just love will win the day and compassion will win the day, and we're artists too, so hopefully we all have feeling. So that's that, sending our love to everyone. Well, yes, welcome back to the Network Austin Mixer. Whether your first time, I see a lot of familiar faces, so a lot of people have been here before. And thank you to our guest here, who has many monikers. She is an actor, she is a producer, she is a safety firearms coordinator, she is an intimacy coordinator, she is an amazing mom, an amazing friend, and just amazing, wears many, many more. She's a doula. She wears many hats in the industry and is a friend to many. And if you see her on a set, consider yourself lucky. Miss Emmy Robbin here.
Oh, I love you, Michael. Thank you so much. That's such a nice intro.
Well, thanks for making it happen today, and y'all will get a chance to answer some questions later. But again, like the first half hour, I'll probably guide our questions, and then we'll go from there. But yes, please think of anything you might want to ask her, because she has over 20 years of experience in this business plus, and you're continuing to grow. And what I loved about bringing you on as a speaker, you're continuing to book. And in this SAG strike, WGA, it's being ratified, and in this slow season in our post-COVID self-tape world, you've been able to adapt and kind of thrive in that, and being able to, instead of using that as a hurdle, you just solved the problem, and just you're a great networker, and you're great at just doing good work. So let's take it a couple of steps back. Can you tell us how you started your acting journey here?
Yeah, I've lived in Austin pretty much my whole life. Dripping Springs adjacent Austin. But I've been here. I mean, my acting career pretty much started when I was 17, and I started with Best Epco in Third Coast Extras. I didn't really know. I've been acting pretty much my whole life, and I did theater in high school and such, but Best Epco had put out a casting for Miss Congeniality, and I just knew I wanted to, I was like, oh, I could do that. That sounds so fun. And so that's where kind of everything started, was getting in with Third Coast Extras and Best Epco. And I became kind of like a featured extra, which was really, really cool, because I just was so passionate being on set, and I just was like soaking everything in. And I think that came noticed. And so they would, pull me to the front because I was quiet, I was observant. I just wanted to learn everything there was to learn about just being on a film set. And I feel like if you're starting as an extra, that's really, really important to just keep your senses open, your eyes and your ears peeled on set, and not talk, and just absorb what you can absorb and learn what you can. And that's kind of what I did at such a young age. And the casting director would get positive feedback like, oh, thank you for this extra. And because she got that positive feedback, it kind of became like a really cool relationship that I built with Sepco, who's a huge casting director here in town. And then just I booked a television hosting series, and it was adjacent to my now agent, Actors Clearinghouse. They worked in the 501 studios, and we worked in the 501 studios. And I remember I was just outside one day and he was like, "Do you have an agent?" And I was like, no. Are you an agent? And he was like, "Yeah." So I ended up just signing with one of the really cool agencies here in town. And that's kind of how everything started for me. I'm a firm believer of like the universe really will put things in your path. If you manifest it and you believe it will happen. And I just believe that everything that kind of has happened throughout my career has happened because the universe just made it so. And yeah, it started with Sepco, and then, booking that hosting series in my early 20s, and just standing outside, and my now agent literally standing outside at the same time. And he was just like, "Do you have an agent?" So that's kind of how everything started. Yeah,
I'm
20.
glad you said that because you touched on a lot of things that I think
Yeah.
actors always contemplate. Oh, being an extra doesn't get you noticed,
Oh no,
or
yeah.
you or casting offices aren't, or the principal casting office isn't going to care. Well, what you just said validated that because you did such a good job as an extra, it got
Yeah.
reported back to the casting office, which I'm sure brought you back in time and time again,
Yeah,
which led to your gig, which led to your agent noticing you. So
totally.
it's all kind of like your professionalism showed that the good things can come from that. And in a way you were patient about it. You weren't just trying to get an agent being after your first day on set. You were trying to let it happen organically.
Yeah.
So moving forward in your career, I'm sure there's a lot of bookings that happened in between. You're if you go to your IMDb, or if and that's how I first got to know you. You would always get to. We were asking all the fellow casters. See, we all talk. I was like, well, who are our hotties? Who are the girls that just book all
Oh.
the stuff? And they were like, oh, well, you need Emmy then. And so, how did you get introduced to Robert Rodriguez and Troublemaker, and how did you get your first booking through them?
Yeah, that was really cool. Actually, Sin City 1, the first one, Robert was looking for Old Town girls, and he didn't want just like hot chicks. He wanted like badasses. Like that's literally what he told Beth Sepko, who's his go-to. And he said, "I want badasses." And at the time, Coyote Ugly had opened in Austin, and I was bartending there. It just was a fit for me. It was kind of like Magic Time Machine, the restaurant where you could like sing and perform as a waiter. To me, Coyote Ugly was kind of that. I'm a singer, I'm a performer. So I wanted to go work there, and it was a reality show, on CMT, but I was the head bartender there, and I was always up on the bar. I was always pouring shots in guys' mouths and slapping them on the face. I was just kind of that strong female. That was my character. I felt like this was me bartending, but I could also, like, when I showed up at work at Coyote, from my costume to my attitude, it was a character. I created this character when I worked at Coyote Ugly. And I just remember one night, Beth Sepko coming in, and she was like, "Emmy." And I was like, "Hey." And she was like, "Look, I trust you, and you're, obviously running this bar." And she said, "I want you to pick 3 girls that you think would fit to play a really badass character as an extra, featured extra on a Robert Rodriguez movie." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool," And she had just come in when I was like spanking some guy with like a leather whip. It was crazy. But she was, she had taken video and shown Robert, and Robert was like, "Yes, I want that one." And then whoever she picks. And so I had picked 3 of my best like performer bartenders to come with me, and we showed up that day on Sin City 1, and there was about 19 girls that Beth Sepko had casted just to be like, the Old Town girls. And it just so happened that I was the most featured, and the 3 girls that I brought with me ended up also being really, really featured because we were really strong performers and we were really confident in who we were, I feel like. So Robert kind of took notice to that. And just from there, he had another project, Planet Terror, Grindhouse in mind. And he was just like, I want you to play like this like sexy sheriff, so it was cool. Like I just from being on set from from Sin City 1, and just again being very patient, and just I think, just being on set, I think he could sense like, this is what I love to do, and it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to reward this chick and give her another badass, strong female role in my next film. So it was really cool. I happened to be at the right place, right time, and knew the right people.
So again, repeat, you do a good job, you get
Yeah.
noticed, you're just bringing yourself, and you're
Yeah.
getting thought of by one of the biggest filmmakers in Texas in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So would you say his team and how he works is very collaborative, and they like to bring people back? And
Yeah. That's like his whole thing, Robert, like he's very much so like a family oriented type director. So when he meets people, he uses them again and again and again, and you'll see that, like I just watched the Spy Kids Armageddon with my little 3-year-old toddler, and there I saw DJ, Catrona, and it's like he was in the Dusk Till Dawn, the TV series, and it's like, oh, okay, he's bringing him back so he's known for that, like if he likes you, he'll bring you in for more projects and more projects and more projects. And yeah, he's just he makes his crew he's had for God, 30 years, it's the same crew.
well,
And
and it's
yeah.
good that you didn't sabotage yourself, saying, is it an extra role or do I have a line? And because we get a lot of that too, where
Yeah.
no, I'm there, and then
I
it
don't care. Like for
springboard
me, so
into
for
that,
Planet Terror, yeah, for Planet Terror, for Grindhouse, I was an extra. I got paid $75 a day. And I was there from day 1 of filming until the very last day of filming. And I made $75 a day for a 12-hour day, but I didn't care. And some of those days were night shoots. Some of them were 7 p.m. call times to 7 a.m. call times. And I was working on the television show hosting during the day. So I would work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I would sleep. I would wake up. I'd have a 1 p.m. call time for my hosting. I would go host from like 1 to 4. I'd go home. I'd nap for like an hour. And then I'd go back to set because Robert likes to shoot at nights. I mean, he's a nocturnal director, but it's like, I didn't care. I didn't care that I was getting paid $75 a day. I was like, I'm one of the survivors in Grindhouse, which is like the people that are from day 1 to the last day. We're in the whole movie. We're featured extras. I didn't care how much I was getting paid. At that point, it was like, I'm on a film set every day right now we shot that for like 3-4 months, and I was on
and the
set,
crew's getting to
5
know
days.
you too, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you're getting
I
to
got
know
to I got
lots
to
of
be
different
really good
people.
friends with the crew. And it's like, but it's like I was on set 5 days a week for 4 months, 12 hours a day, sometimes 14-hour days. And I was only getting paid $75, but I didn't care because I was learning so much as an actress. Like I was watching the actors act, and I was just like thinking in my head, like one day I will one day I'll have a line, and it was like, but I didn't care because I felt so honored just to be there. It's like, I was getting paid, less than minimum wage at that time, but I didn't care because I was learning. I was learning and I was getting experience.
Well, let's talk about how you springboarded, your acting career into. I know you've worked in producing, and you worked at, firearms, and
Yeah.
and safety, and you even got to be what was your character's name? Flamethrower. Or is that what it is?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Blazing.
I even own the actual flamethrower that I shot.
How did that springboard? Okay, you're an actor, you're there. So how do you get the opportunity to work firearms or to help
Yeah.
start working with the producers? Like what springboarded first? What springboarded first?
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much every film that I've done with Rodriguez, I've had a different firearm in my hand. It was like a running joke with Robert and the crew. Like every movie that I would do, my firearm would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the time I did Sin City 2, I had a flamethrower. They were like, how much bigger can you get? But I grew up in the country. I grew up in Dripping Springs. I grew up shooting guns. I'm very, very familiar and very comfortable with firearms. So I remember the day on Planet Terror. Well, I mean, Sin City 1 was my first one. They put an Uzi in my hand, but it was not live, right? We were pretending to shoot it. But I remember when I showed up that night to Planet Terror, and they gave me a shotgun as the sheriff, and it was shooting blanks, but it was live,
They'll kick back at you, right?
it was really shooting,
It.
really shooting, you're shooting a 12 gauge shotgun blanks. It's still shooting. And you have stunt guys coming up towards you. It's that scene, if you go watch Grindhouse, in Planet Terror, where, the zombies are coming up the hill to the barbecue joint, and we're all at the top of the hill, and all of us are shooting at the zombies. And I'm actually shooting this shotgun, and they didn't tell me that it was going to be, hey, you're going to be shooting blanks. You're going to be doing this. Like, let's talk about firearm safety. So, special effects guy came over, and he was like, we're going to talk firearm safety. First of all, when he yells cut, you hold the gun up, finger off the trigger, always pointing up, because you do have blanks in there. But when it was action, it was down, and there was stunt guys coming towards us with squibs exploding, and we're shooting at human beings, and so that's, to me, I was like, whoa, this is really scary. I'm actually shooting this, so that was kind of my first instance with like live firearms on set. But I got like a 101 on, like, you hold it up when they yell cut, you hold it upwards, you don't keep it down. And yeah, it was intense. And then from there, it's like every film that I did after with Rodriguez, it was a bigger gun and a bigger gun and a bigger gun. And then with the flamethrower, I was actually shooting the flame inside of the studio. They actually have stills of that was in a magazine that, they showed I'm shooting the actual flames towards the camera, and they had this fireproof plexiglass in front of the camera. And it was intense. I was like, I'm shooting at like 20 people, with this flamethrower. But I was so comfortable with firearms and so comfortable with that crew by that time that it felt natural.
So to wrap up a firearms chat on that little chapter in your multifaceted career, because of Rust and all the stories we hear about of unfortunate incidents happening for actors and crew who are watching, what is a takeaway you have to empower people when there's firearms on set or they're dealing with firearms? Like, what is advice that you would give to the actors and to the filmmakers just regarding firearm safety?
Totally. Do what you feel comfortable, but at the same time, like, it comes down to the firearms safety person on set, who is handing you that firearm, and as an actor, you can trust that the person handing you the firearm has blanks in it. Ask them, can you show me the difference between this and that, especially if you're going to be, like I said, with Grindhouse, I was just this like young 21, 22-year-old kid. Like, they're handing me a shotgun, and then they're like, okay, Emmy, now you're going to be like actually shooting this gun, and blanks are going to come out. Have you shot a gun? And I'm like, thankfully I grew up in the country. So yes, I've shot a 12 gauge before, but I've never shot it aimed towards a human being coming at me with squibs exploding. Like, that's a different.
So would you say it's okay for an actor to speak up if they don't?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think just in general across the board as an actor, you should feel comfortable on the set that you're on. And that's across the board of everything. You should be able to speak your mind. If somebody's putting a firearm in your hand and they want you to shoot that firearm, you need to feel comfortable shooting that firearm.
Well, speaking of speaking up, that leads me to intimacy coordination. I know we're
Yeah.
hearing a lot about that
Yeah.
recently in the post Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And you still get filmmakers, actors. Well, what is their role? What exactly are they doing? I don't need one, or I've been on a million sets without one. What is the value of having one on set, and what exactly are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, so it's so I mean, look, I did a film where I made the decision to go topless. Like I mean, it was the character's decision, it was the role that I signed up for. Um but I felt so comfortable in that audition, and the director had talked to me, and I said, I had even asked, I was like, look, are you guys comfortable with just going down to a bra, why does she have to be topless? And they kind of explained, this is like, we're going to be, releasing in European countries, breasts are not a huge thing there, and the way we talked about how it would be shot made me feel comfortable. And so it all comes down to who you're surrounded with, who your director is, who your co-star is, how closed the set is. I mean, if you're doing an intimacy scene, usually they will keep the set closed to the minimum of what they need. We don't need all the lighting guys. We just need the gaffer there. We don't need all the grips sitting on their Apple boxes. We just need, you know what I mean? We just need the main people on set to make sure that everything looks good, everything sounds good. But you don't need like 200 people on set staring at you if you're doing an intimate scene. And you talk through it, you block it. Are we doing open mouth kissing? Are we doing that? Like how is this going to be done? And all of that comes down to just, again, speaking up. Like, don't, if you're going on set as an actor and you have this intimate scene, you don't have to feel uncomfortable. They've already hired you, you're already there shooting the scene. This is the time to look to your director and say, how do you want this done? Because if you're sitting there guessing, like, am I supposed to do this? And that, you're not serving anybody. You're just
Or is
wasting.
it okay to ask for a rehearsal, or hey, can I get a moment with you, or hey, when are we going to open it?
Absolutely. Take your co-star aside and say, what are you comfortable with? What do you want to do? Block the scene, talk to your co-star, like that's super important. I remember with I Didn't Come Here to Die, before I had that big makeout scene, where I was about to bear it all, Kurt was so cool. And we just we talked about it, and he was like, you let me know what you're comfortable with, and what you want to do. And talking to your co-star, the person that's in that scene intimately with you, is really important. But also, like, the director is really great too, because they're going to tell you like what they want. And so the three of you in that intimate conversation, it's very important. Don't be scared as an actor. They've already hired you, they like you. So that's the time to speak up. And
Well, it's easy for women especially to say, well, I don't want to be difficult, or I don't want to
yes.
be that person, and I don't want to be labeled. So I guess this is just my way to bring this up. So no, here's we do have great agents in this meeting. We have
Yeah.
a Flame here, we have Tab, we have a lot of great people. You have a great agent. Are there Has there ever been instances where you've had to bring in your agent after the job's already, you booked it, you're on set, and you're like, I gotta make a call here, or I gotta like get someone
um
involved in here?
No, not after the fact. My agent is so freaking cool. I love Mike so much. I remember Halloween, the Rob Zombie one that they did, like, I don't know, maybe like 2013, 2012. It was a while ago. But I remember my agent sent me, and he was like, hey, you'd be great for this if you want to do it. But it's, you know, it's kind of a topless, like whatever, you know, it's Halloween, it is what it is, it's a horror movie. He was like, do you know, do you want to do it? Look at the breakdown. And he gives me that respect, you know, and so he doesn't put that pressure on me. And I looked at it and it was just a little bit too much for me, you know, like going topless is one thing, but like it was like borderline, you know, B film. And I just responded to him. I was like, hey, I read the script. I don't feel comfortable with this material. And he was like, that's cool, you know, like I get it, you know. And then I saw the movie and I was like, wow, she was comfortable doing that. Good for her, you know. But
But
like,
you felt the comfort. You're not worried, oh, my agent's not going to send me out anymore if I say no. Or, you know,
no.
you felt very comfortable. So your agent really gave you the agency to be like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with this. I'm not. Okay, great.
Yeah, I feel like as an actor or an actress, I think it's really, really important to understand like your branding. Like, who are you? You know, don't just say yes to every role, because 10 years from now, you might not be happy with saying yes to something that you weren't comfortable with. You know, find your branding, find out who you are, what you stand for, like what kind of films do you want to do? I was okay doing the topless scene in that film because the script was so cool. Like I just thought I Didn't Come Here to Die. I mean, it became like #1 on Redbox in like 6 different countries. Like it was like this little indie horror film, but I think because the script was so cute. I say cute because like I don't know, you just have to see it to see it. It's a cool horror film, but it has a great script to it, and I loved it. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm willing to do my first topless and only topless scene for this script, because it was such a cool script, because it kind of hit to who I was. But I was thinking 10 years in the future, you know what I
Right.
mean? I think a lot of actors will just say yes to say yes, you know, and it's like you don't have to do that. And I feel like the ones that really kind of find who they are and begin to say no to a project, that's actually when the universe will align with you and give you the projects that are meant for you. It's really crazy. Like once you have the ability to say no to something, it's like you'll be rewarded. You really will. And you just have to find, who do you want to be? Like brand yourself as an actor. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't just
Well, like
play
you say,
the
you don't have
gambit.
to say yes. It could be a million things. It could be nudity. It could be usage. It could be that I just don't feel comfortable doing this, or the language.
Totally. Like I'm a pro gun person. I'm not going to do an anti-gun PSA. You know what I mean? My agent has sent me auditions for an anti-gun PSA. Like I'm not going to do an anti-gun PSA if I'm somebody who believes that we should have firearms to protect ourselves. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And then
So
that
it's
could be
like,
on the other side too. An actor could be on the other
absolutely.
side. And so that's why we got to
Absolutely.
divulge everything to you. Gang, I'm going to ask you about 1 or 2 more questions, and then you can start to raise your hands, because you can hear me talk all day, but I'd rather within the hour be able to mix it up and have y'all ask Emmy any question. But what I'm trying to do is open it up a bit so we get to hear a little bit about all the different parts of her career. I do want to talk about now. So COVID hit, we all had to go to self-tape, we had to do Zoom callbacks. You've been able to thrive during this time. What did you do personally, or what did you do professionally to just bridge that gap and to, you know, not take that as an excuse and to continue to book and continue to work?
I mean, truthfully, it's just, you know, I purchased a really nice camera. I mean, obviously you can do self-tapes on your iPhone nowadays. They're 4K cameras, you know what I mean? Like you can shoot some really cool stuff. As you see, like I just have like this, I Amazoned, it's a blue wall, the generic blue wall, and the other side is a green screen. Um you know, I have a ring light. They're super cheap. You can get them on Amazon, you know, $30. And you know, you just learn how to edit an iMovie or whatever, you know, and you can send it, and it's to me, I love the fact that we can self-tape. I personally love it because you don't have to, you know, you don't have to drive through downtown Austin to get to your location. And then you get there and they're running an hour and a half behind in casting, you know, and so you're sitting in the waiting room, and then you get in, and then you get the direction, and it's different than, you know, maybe the casting director changed the direction and it's different than what you've practiced or whatever. And so you're like, oh God, I got to think on the spot, you know, or you mess up your lines, or you want to do another take, and you can't do that in a casting office. When you self-tape, you get to submit the best of the best of the best. So you can literally like get into character, do your Meisner, do whatever you need to do before you push record on your camera. And then you're already in character. When you go into a casting office, you know, you slate, you do all the things, and then you get into character. When you're submitting a self-tape, you can do all the prep. You can do all the character work, all the stuff that you have to do before you push record on that camera. So it's, to me, I just feel like it was so much more fun to self-tape because I could do the character prep before I even pushed record, and then I'd submit a video and it was the best of the best, you know?
So business of acting though, so say aside from doing a good self-tape, having the equipment, what are some little tips or advice that you give to act or want to give to actors as far as what you do to like take it to that next level, or to that you feel helps guide you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, like the lighting and the equipment and all that is great, but like if you're doing a character, you know, dress in that character. Be that character, you know, especially if you're at home and you're taping, you know, create the environment for that character. You know what I mean? Like it's embody the character, you know, everything, wardrobe to props to all of that. Like that's another benefit of being, you know, self-tape at home is you can have props. You can actually create the environment that you want to in your taping room. You can't do that in a casting office. You have to like pretend to drink your coffee or whatever, you know. If you're taping at home, you can fill a mug up and you can actually be drinking coffee if you want, you know. So you know, just embody the character. That's truthfully, that's, I mean, I think that's the best advice that I can give, and put your own spin on it. Whether I saw that you did a live and you talked about bold choices versus strong choices. And that's really important as an actor. You don't have to go over the top. You know, when they say they want a strong choice, you don't have to like be over the top as an actor. Sometimes being really subtle, you know, whether it's just like looking to the side or like doing a little smirk or whatever it is that you think that that character would do, sometimes that's a bold choice as an actor, you know. So you can practice those little things in self-taping at home, you know.
I was talking to Amy Leonards about that. We all love Amy. She's great.
I love
We all know
her.
Amy, another great working Texas actor. And I was complimenting her. I go, "You're always Amy in every role. You're just Amy. You know who you are. You're true to yourself." And that's kind of what wins the day there. So talking about, I know we're going a lot on your acting. I know you do a lot of different amazing things, but
Yeah.
training and development, what's really helped you as far as from when you started out as an extra? Did you get into class right away? Do you ongoingly train? Like, well, what worked for you and like what helped you?
Yeah, when I was younger, I did Mona Lee Bright Lights. Love me some Mona. I know, she was great. That was a really great introductory class. And then just being on set as much as I was with all the A-list actors that I got to witness, like that was really cool in itself. And then I did Laurel Vouvray, the Meisner in the moment. That was probably the biggest like whoa as an actress.
She's
She
real, right? She doesn't hold back.
dude, she's so good at like taking an actor that thinks they're so confident, and like their first day in beginner class, she will like she'd be like, "Oh, you think you're hot shit?" You know what I mean? Like she will break you down. And it's so good because she will help people realize that they're overacting. And she takes the overactors and turns them into real actors. Like you learn how to really, like Meisner, you just learn Meisner, whether it's through repetition or through just, you know, character building or the backstory, creating a backstory, how that happens. You know, it's really important to learn these skills as an actor. I mean, yeah, finding your light and all of these things are great, but like learning how to create a backstory, that's going to help you find that emotion. So if you get an audition and all you get is like, you know, the name of the character and what the breakdown is, like, that's great. But like, if you as an actress or an actor can create that backstory, that's going to give it that much more oomph when you're auditioning, you know, and Laurel kind of helps you figure out how to do that.
Where do you find your auditions? Because you're a good self-submitter. Yeah, you have your agent to back you up, but I like that you're always a go-getter. Like,
Yeah.
I hear from you first. I'll like, oh yeah, I'll loop in your agent if you get the job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know that's how I work. Every other casting director is different. But can you share with the actors in the crowd, like, just like, what are your must-haves when you're looking for work?
Absolutely. I mean, as an actor, you should always be a part of Actors Access. It's free. It's a really great really great website, actorsaccess.com. You can create an account and you get to upload 2 free headshots and a slate shot. And that's really important to create that slate shot. It's basically just like a moving headshot. And you know, you just slate your name, but it kind of gives the casting directors an idea of your personality. That's also free on there. And once you do that, you can like see pretty much the free breakdown rules that like actors have access to. Not necessarily like that the cool casting directors have access to, but you can find like all sorts of projects, commercials, national projects. So I find a lot of stuff through Actors Access and then casting networks, of course. You know, so you can have like a headshot and all of that up there as well. So yeah, basically through casting networks and Actors Access, I find a lot of stuff, but
Do you
nowadays
use Backstage? I know some people use it, some people
I
don't.
haven't used Backstage, but really just you know,
I say it's good when you're building your resume. You know, like they have music
absolutely,
videos or commercials that aren't cast by us. You know, look at the
absolutely.
usage, make sure that you're not, you
Yep.
know, doing the wrong thing, you know.
Yeah, no,
But like, especially when
absolutely.
they're like, I'm not at your level, I don't have a reel, or I'm not at your level, Robert doesn't know I exist. You know, but at the same time, you're still self-submitting daily, or if you're looking for a new role. Do you have any advice as far as networking, letting directors get to know who you are, letting producers getting to know who you are?
Yeah,
Any
I
advice
mean,
on
just
that?
get on set, you know, and the way you can get on set is by being an extra. And, you know, you have an amazing extra, you know, you cast extras, like you're incredible at that. Third
Well,
Coast
you got Brock
extras.
Allen, you got Legacy, you
Totally.
got a lot, and
Yes.
there's a lot of productions cast it themselves too. They'll go on Actors Access, or they'll post it. Do you ever look at Facebook? I know that's always another one.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. I mean, I get people actually like tagging me in like breastfeeding mom posts, you
Oh,
know.
you, oh, guys, she's the best at that. I mean, not breastfeeding necessarily, but we get hit up to cast newborns, and you're like my
Totally.
mom, like litmus test, because like
Yeah.
when I'm looking over clients, and
Yeah.
you have really helped
Oh,
clients understand how to treat newborns and
yeah.
moms with newborns, etc.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they don't know how to treat the babies or the mom.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a room to nurse? Okay, maybe we should book 2 babies, because what if one gets fussy and they need to get the
Fussy.
shot, but you still got
Yeah.
to pay them both. There's just so many things that they don't think of because they don't have to deal with. So I'm like, well, then
Yeah.
talk to the expert. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the world of being a doula and maybe how that has worked into your film world?
Totally. Like I said, I feel like the universe just kind of presents things whenever you live life in gratitude. You know, I had a crazy birth with my first daughter, which was a little over 3.5 years ago. And through that, I've just kind of found that I wanted to be an advocate for laboring mothers. And I do lactation consulting. And I really just want women and their partner to just feel confident and powerful in parenthood. I waited until I was 38 to have my first kid because I was an actor and because I was, you know, like I want to make it. I don't want to have kids. I don't want anything keeping me behind. And what the irony of that is ever since I've had kids, my career has actually like come more aligned with who I am as a human. So it's really cool. Like, you know, having kids didn't really set me back. But you know, just kind of advocating for pregnancy and birth and you know, just parents and newborns and babies and all of that, you know, it's really cool to kind of see, you know, commercials that cast, you know, adults and kids and stuff. And it's funny because you get on set and they have no idea what to do with a toddler or with a baby, you know, and it's like, you know what you're getting into if you cast a toddler. Like, it's gonna be a little crazy, so you might want to cast two, you know. And same thing with babies, you know. It's
Or the 4-year-old sounds fun to cast. I'm like, you want a 6-year-old who looks small. That's what you want.
exactly, it's like the 4-year-old sounds fun until you have to like make them wait in a room for, you know, 6 hours until you're ready
When
for
you're
them.
feeding them
But
candy on the
yeah,
table. I
like,
love
here's
it when
some
they have all
goldfish.
that access to candy, and then now they're like, and action.
I mean,
Uh,
totally. It's,
no,
you
and I'll
know,
say this from firsthand experience. Emmy has been great at working with producers and directors, and just you're so giving. It's so easy to be like, well, what's in it for me, or just have that second
mhm.
nature. You know, I know you've been up for some big roles too, and you may have gotten a supporting role, and you
Yeah.
move that with such grace, and I think that's just so amazing. And I've
It's
seen people.
gratitude. You have to, you seriously, like, if you're going to pursue this career, if you're going to pursue a career that only less than 1% of the people that pursue it like achieve high status, it's like you have to be doing it out of passion. You can't be doing it out of like, I need to make it. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, I just have gratitude for anything that I'm given. If I have a day on set, you know, whether I'm getting paid $10 a day or, you
We'll
know,
get you more
2,000
these days.
a day. Yeah, you know, it's like,
Let's get you at
I
least
don't
$100
care.
for showing up.
Yeah, it's, you know, if you're working on a film set or, you know, whatever, commercial set, it doesn't matter. If you're working, then you're living the dream. You know what I mean? Like, just have gratitude. And I've tried to live life like that. You know, if I can't get the main role and somebody wants to offer me a day player role, like, I have gratitude for that. Like, I'm grateful. Thank you for casting me in your movie. That's awesome. You know?
Guys, I'm going to ask her one more, and then please ask those questions, raise those hands. You can raise your hand in the. I think there's a little feature so we know that you're asking a question. Let's talk about the unpopular question. How do you handle rejection?
Ugh. It's hard, you know. For me, it's a little easier because I have passions outside of acting, you know, like the doula world. That's also a very big passion of mine, is helping laboring mothers and, you know, breastfeeding and all of that. So I have a passion outside of acting. So for me, it's like, if I don't get a role, I take that as the universe protecting me, in a sense that like maybe I wasn't meant to get that role and something else is coming for me. And usually that happens. It's like, if I didn't get, like, I auditioned for this one role that I really wanted in Fear of the Walking Dead and I didn't get it. And literally 2 months later, I got cast in, you know, Protocol. So it's like, to me, it was like a blessing, you
Things
know.
happen for a reason, or another door
Absolutely.
open. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we got some questions, so yay. uh, Gary, what question do you have for Miss Emmy?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you for being our speaker, and I and everybody on this Zoom, and probably everybody that knows you, is impressed with your enlightened perspective.
Oh, thank
You
you.
look at life from a creative, non-victim, gonna make it happen the best of my ability. And girl, if the universe ain't trying to teach us something right now, it's that. You know,
Thank
what
you.
can you do to make things better? Uh, when you work with Rodriguez, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
does he give you a lot of freedom, or is he real strict on lines? And I'm sure blocking he's strict on, but and how many takes?
Oh no, Robert's really fast. He is
Oh,
very fast. He shoots super quick. He man, his first AD has a has a job. He will shoot super quick. So he doesn't sit there and do like 20 takes, on one scene. He gets it and he moves on. And he does definitely give creative freedom. He'll kind of give you a gist of like, here's how I want you to do it, and then he lets you do it that way, and then he'll let you do it a couple other ways, and then boom, moving on to the next. Like and it's also because he's worked with that crew for 30 years. They're so quick, and they know like when it's time to change, the gaffer's already on it, the grips they're already on it, they're already moving and moving and moving to the next scene, which is really, it's refreshing to be on a set like that where it moves really quick, you know.
Good question. Really good question.
Yeah.
Miss Jackson here. Yes. Make sure you unmute yourself.
Hi.
Don't worry about it. I know you're finding it. Let's see. Maybe I can ask you to unmute. No, I don't think so.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Hi.
hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, my name is Malaysia, and I'm an actress also, just getting into production on the production side now. But thank you so much for just giving your insight on just motherhood and transitioning into motherhood as being an actress. It's always been my biggest fear. So thank you for giving insight on that. One of my questions would have to be for someone who may not have the finances to take classes back to back. Would you recommend stage acting as something that kind of keeps you practicing, or do you think that would kind of set you back when it comes to
Oh,
like film? Because I think I had a hard time transitioning from theater to film. So I was just checking to see if you think that'd be a great way to continue training.
oh my gosh, absolutely. The stage is, oh God, that's like my first love. Broadway is like my dream. But yeah, the stage is amazing. It's crazy because I feel like theater actors, it's like you got to be real good because you have to memorize a whole freaking you got to memorize a whole script, that's some brain power right there. And blocking, it's a really great way to learn blocking. It's a good way, you're not learning camera technique, but that doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Like if you can take the stage acting and you can embody that character, then you're doing it. I mean, acting, the theater and the camera, it's very similar. It's just the camera is different. You just have to find your blocking, find, this and that. But oh my gosh, yes, keep doing the theater. That is really cool.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for just your light and
Oh,
your
thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Michael, for setting this up. Good to see you all.
And Miss Jackson, email me too, because I can scholarship you for a few classes I have coming up. Okay.
I would love to. Okay, I definitely will. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Do it. Email me, remind me, otherwise I forget. Okay. So
Okay, we'll do. We'll do. Thank
that
you.
being said, though, I'm so glad you said that, Emmy, because we're so used to acting like this in a box that when someone, God help you, a director says, "You know what? Get up. Let's start blocking that for camera." You're like, "What?"
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
and I find theater actors get so like, oh yeah, that's second nature. You're used to being on the boards and walking. And guys, just walking and acting at the same time can be so crazy because we're not in the room anymore. So I think that yeah, theaters are really good advice. I wanted to piggyback on that. How has you're a great singer. I know we did karaoke before. I don't
I'll
know.
share.
Yeah, we did. Y'all should have been there. What can someone who can sing or is a triple threat or has dancing, or any type of the live performance background, or even instrumentalists, like what ways do you see them using those skills for their on-camera career? Like have you seen any correlation with that or a way to like to cross over into that?
Yeah, I mean, I tell my agent all the time, you know, like anything that you come across, breakdown wise that has, you know, singing or musician or anything like that, like those are my dream roles because I love performing in general, you know, like so, you know, doing like a Moulin Rouge would have been like, ah, God, that would have been a dream role, you know what I mean? But so things like that that come across his plate, he knows, you know, so tell your agent like, hey, look, I'm a singer and an actress. So if you or an actor, so if you see a role that comes across your desk that has singing, then the agent will immediately think of you to submit because agents have, you know, 100 or so people, and it's hard for them to think when they see a breakdown like, who can I submit for this? And so if you're constantly reminding your agent like, hey, I sing, hey, I play the guitar, hey, I dance, and they come across a breakdown that has those things in them, they'll remember you. They'll think like, oh, I need to, you know, submit that person.
Thank you for saying that, because now that brings me to the question of nagging your agent, which Jason's laughing right now, but, and a pleasant persistence, like a
Yeah.
reminder, because they have so many things going on. Like, can you give me examples of when you've checked in with your agent or stuff aside from what you just said, or when the time is appropriate, or how many times a year you like to do a check-in?
Yeah, I mean, I love Mike so much. I try not to hound him. You know, if I tend to do something cool, like a cool project on my own, like I just started a podcast, and I was like, hey man, I have like a home studio here now. Like I legit have like this amazing home studio that I decided to build because this podcast was something that was really important to me. And I reminded him, I was like, hey, you know, I love voice acting, you know, I love doing the voiceovers, but now I have not only the equipment, but I have the software, I have the knowledge. Like I sat and trained myself through like YouTube after YouTube after YouTube of how to start a podcast, how to do this, how to do that. I love learning. And I told him, I said, basically like these voiceovers nowadays, they want you to have the ability to record the actual thing in your own home. They don't want to pay for you to go to a big studio to record it. They're like, hey, we're looking for actors, voice actors that can record stuff in their own home. So when I started my podcast, I just kind of sent my agent, I was like, hey, take a listen. I just started a podcast, and not only that, but I have my own home studio. So if if you have any voiceover breakdowns that,
Thank you for saying that. I got one I gotta send you tonight. Okay, anyways.
yes, I
Hey,
am so down. I
that's
love
what
it.
happens when you're lazy and you're like, oh yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah, I always get cast for like the Emma Stone or like we want raspy but confident.
Well, great.
But
I'm glad to know you have that home studio and you've taken, because you're
yeah,
creating. So you're saying if there's something worth mentioning to your agent, you're just like, oh hey, I got something, check it out,
totally.
or my
Absolutely. I mean,
film
if
got into this festival, or you should check this
yeah,
out.
like if you started a band, like, hey, hey, by the way, I just put a band together. Do you want to see a video of a gig we just did? You know what I mean? Then, there's been a lot of times when I've had bands, I've gone through multiple bands, but like where my agent has been like, hey, they're looking to cast an entire band. Would your band be willing to? And I'm like, yes, they would, So, just anytime you come across something that you think your agent would be interested in knowing, that's usually when I'll reach out to my agent, and just let him know, but it's like, hey, I put together a whole home studio. Like if you have any VOs that come across that, I got it. Hey, here's an example of my podcast, and here's an example of what it sounds like if they need to hear something too, so.
Beautiful. I'm gonna let Mr. Tab ask the final question of the night.
Cool.
That's no pressure at all.
Hey.
First of all, thank you. You are a beacon of light and kindness and hope, and you radiate joy. And to hear from you tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. I just moved here from Los Angeles a month into the writer's strike. I'm a WGA writer and a SAG actor, and to make a movie. And I was just, you've been here for a while, and I was going to ask you, for people who are not yet really plugged into the scene yet,
Yeah.
if you had any recommendations for specific groups that you find you're able to reach really good professionals who really know how to handle themselves, and just where do you go to find the best of the best? Because there are so many groups, it's a bit daunting.
Yeah, so many groups. I've found on Facebook, there's a Texas Casting Crew page that's really great. I think it's literally titled Texas Casting Crew Films.
Okay.
That's a really great page. Michael is a great page to follow as well. You'll get hit up with a lot of
He has reached his limit of friends.
yeah.
I'm
9,000
sorry.
already, Michael.
I gotta like delete the dead weight. So yeah, AFS, if you're looking for writers, they always have good clinics, and the people there work on their own films, and
Yes.
they'll probably tell you where to grab coffee and where to meet up the people. When they and then there's another like Austin Film Meet too that meets, and those are mostly writers and crew members that I find. We're like the more actor centric one. They're more like writers and stuff like that too. If you want
Yeah.
to.
Which is the best actor centered one?
Well, this panel, the one that the Network Austin Mixer, we give more actor advice. Even though filmmakers do come in, but this one's a more actor centric one, and I think
do both. I write stuff, but I don't act in my own stuff. It's too much. It's too heady.
And I know that Austin entertainment business has been picking up more too. So she brings in all types of speakers. To Jessica or Jennifer, right? Jennifer's. I met
Jennifer, what?
her when she first came into town, and then I kind of lost track of her. I need to DM her sometime. Texas Film Commission. Thank you so much, Gary. Oh, and Emmy, can you please tell us so we can put it in the chat what the name of your podcast is?
Yeah, it's called Empowered Birth, Love, and Life. Yeah, it's just it's kind of like a empowering birth podcast, but also, I touch on childhood stuff, and yeah, birth, love, and life. So all the things.
And I love your family. It just continues to grow. And can I just say your partner's amazing? I just, I can't say enough good things about it. No, when I met him, I was like, that's not the reason for your strength, but having a helpful partner in life, like that just supports you unconditionally. I'm like, that's a pillar in her life for sure.
I mean, even today, he works a crazy IT job. And even today, I was shooting a pilot with Jesse Metcalf here in Austin. It was so cool.
I didn't know if I could plug that or not.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's going to be so cool. I hope it gets picked up. But, I was gone all day, and it was the first time I was gone from the baby, and she's like not even 5 months yet. And I had one of my really good friends here, and, she was giving her bottles and stuff. And my husband was like, well, I have a really light day with meetings and stuff, and so I can come out and take the baby, and you can watch the toddler. Like, he was like helping out in the middle of his work day so that my friend wouldn't be overwhelmed, so that I wouldn't feel overwhelmed on set. And he was like texting me, he was like, I want you to just be able to like be focused on set on like what you're doing and not think about what's going on here at the house. And I just thought that was like so freaking cool, because it was like my first really big gig after having the baby, being on a big set, and I needed to be present, and I needed to like not think about like, is the baby taking a bottle, and I thought that was really great. He was really supportive and would come out in between meetings and take the baby, and yeah.
And I know we're at 8, but I need to ask, how is Mr. Metcalf? Did he get to act opposite him?
He's so cool. Oh my God. He's just the nicest human. Like, yeah, it was really cool. I shoot tomorrow and I shoot Friday. It's a 3-day shoot, and I'm just pray and it gets picked up, but I know that if it doesn't, then that's the universe's plan for me, you know?
But great experience nonetheless. So,
Totally.
well, I think that calls it for tonight. So I'm going to hand the torch over to Mr. Gary to do our outro. But thank you so much, Emmy. This has been
Thank y'all.
amazing.
Thank you for
And
having me.
follow Emmy on social media. What is your Instagram and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, it's at Emmy Robbin Doula.
Emmy Robbin doula. Okay, cool, awesome. And Gary, you take it away. I'll shut up now.
Thank you.
I love you.
Oh, Michael, you're a great interviewer, and Emmy, you are a very inspirational guest. I especially highlight not only, like I said, your light perspective, but your concern for motherhood and
Oh,
children. That matters. I'm lucky I had a great mother, 7 sons, she was great. And it's a struggle nowadays, and God bless you for helping women see their power, their freedom, their creativity, and stand up for a role model. It goes a long way in today's world, and my heart's out to you. Thank you, Michael, so much for hosting. God bless you, folks. Stay inspired, and special thanks to you, Emmy.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Seriously.
You too, girl.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Emmy.